What's up, man? Welcome back to Kansas from Vegas. How are you?
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Had a great time. Man, it feels like forever since we've done an episode. So I'm excited to get back on the horse, as they say.
Isn't it crazy? It's only been 2 weeks, but in
Yeah.
radio time, it feels like an eternity, right?
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
Holidays, getting things going, man. There's always those bits and pieces. But man, tell me about Vegas. You guys took Sid, right? As a reward.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. We took her as a reward. My wife told her long ago, whenever she started this softball journey she's on in sports, that she started having a little bit of success. So my wife kind of told her, hey, if you ever win the national championship, we'll take you wherever you want to go.
I love
She
it.
happened to do it last year, and she took home an MVP trophy with that. So we had to pay up, and she ultimately picked Las Vegas because it's one of her favorite spots. So we took her out there, had a great time, and just spoiled her the way she should have been. So we had a great
Rightfully
time,
deserved,
and
man.
yeah,
Rightfully deserved.
absolutely.
She's awesome. Congrats, Sid. We love you. We're glad you're out there winning championships. Ask your dad for the next one to take me to Vegas. All right. So, but no,
There you
dude,
go.
it's that's awesome, man. We started this from a softball aspect, and it's grown to all
Yeah,
sports and music, right?
yeah,
And dude,
definitely.
we were talking the other day. This year has just been incredible. The lessons we've learned as we approach
Yeah,
250 episodes and not slowing
yeah,
down. It's a lot of lessons that we've learned.
yeah.
You take like the fishing, even the archery stuff we've gotten into, the big four sports, of course, our love
Mhm.
for female athletics and softball, the musicians. It's made me think a lot about things I want to do going into next year, as far as maybe some
Yeah,
resolutions.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think about, you know what I mean?
It
Uh,
always makes you want to become a better person. I mean, it's got to start somewhere, and what better time than that New Year clock
yeah.
ticking on you?
It, I think from what I've learned this year, maybe you can tell me too. My resolution is to be a little bit more patient. I don't want to do anything crazy where I'm not going to give myself a goal of like running 50 million miles or nothing crazy, but I think
Yeah,
I'm just going to be more patient. Have you maybe thought of a resolution for yourself after what you've heard this year?
yeah. I mean, something along those lines. I mean, being a little bit more patient when following a passion, something that you
Mm,
love to do. I mean, don't be afraid to just if you have something that you enjoy, follow it. You know,
yeah,
even to its, put everything you've got into it. Like we say, don't compromise yourself, but put everything you've got
mhm.
into it, and you'll reach it to some success, and you'll have a great
Love
time
that.
doing it. So
I love
definitely
that.
something I want to try.
Stick to it, I guess is a good way
Yeah,
to put it. So yeah, we've learned a
yeah,
lot of that, man. Speaking of someone, as we transition, all of you, thank you out there for this year. We love you. We can't say enough thank yous. But 2024
yeah,
is going to hit hard, Dan. We got a lot of stuff coming up.
yeah.
And this gentleman, we wanted to kind of ring in the new year with the guy I've been following for a long time. They call him Joe Bassman, Joe Grafeman.
Yeah.
Obviously the host of Going Pro Online, pro Major League Fisherman, right up my alley. I love fishing, man.
Oh yeah.
He's the tour guide at Lake of the Ozarks. Also, just got engaged, so congratulations to him
Yeah.
and the
Absolutely.
missus, and
Congratulations.
just out there doing great things to promote the sport at a young age, man.
Mhm.
So I'll give a little link here. You guys will see in the bio for his show. Be sure to follow him. But let's get to it and bring on our buddy Joe Grafman. Joe, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show today, guys.
Hey, thank you for your time. We can't thank you enough, and let us be the first to say Happy New Year to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. 2023 was a good year and ready to get 2024 started for sure.
Let, let's go,
Absolutely.
man. Again, congrats on the engagement to you and the missus. With nothing but
Yeah.
happy thoughts for you. Can't wait to,
Yeah.
as you say, you got yourself a catch, right? Not releasing this one. Is that right?
Oh yeah, she's a
That's
keeper
awesome.
for sure.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. Well, over the years of doing the show, Joe, Dane and I have kind of cultivated some questions with the audience. So I'm going to kick it off, and we'll go back and forth. So, looking at your love for fishing, man, I remember when I first got my love, my grandpa, the first catch. I remember where I was at, just a little tiny perch. Everybody gets that love for fishing. When you got the bug for this, if you will, maybe how old were you? When did this love for fishing begin for you in your life?
So I started fishing at a very early age. My dad, he really was a big influential part of helping me get started. And, we used to come down, I remember from St. Louis. That's originally where I'm from, every weekend down here to Lake of the Ozarks, and
Okay.
fell in love with this area and the sport of fishing at a very early age. And, I've always caught a lot of different species of fish, but I would say bass definitely has my heart. There's nothing better than that. And I was probably 3 years old when I picked up a fishing rod, and
Okay.
little bit older, I caught my first bass. I remember it like it was yesterday on a little 2-foot Snoopy pole, just walking the banks as a kid. And that was a very uh, just monumental or, time in my life that I remember that happening very vividly for me. And that's kind of what got me started. And growing up, moving forward from there, I grew up going to school in St. Louis, and
Hmm.
all I wanted to do was fish. I wanted to,
Mm.
I would fish before school if I could. I would fish after school. And so my parents, they moved me down to Lake of the Ozarks at the age of 13 and went to high school here. Graduated high school and started my guide service and haven't looked back since.
Love it. Is that where I guess the Joe Bassman nickname started early on at that Snoopy pole at the age of 3, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
So
Oh, yeah.
love it.
It's been
Love
around
that,
for
dude.
a little while.
That's awesome. I love it. Then go ahead, man.
Now, before I go into two, I was, well, actually, I'll go right into two and then I'll follow up. But what are maybe that you turned pro, since you've turned pro, what is maybe a event that kind of sticks out in the forefront of your mind whenever you think of your career? I mean, even being so young, you're doing all these different events and locations and things. Is there maybe one or two event that sticks out as maybe one or two of your favorites?
Mm.
There is, yeah. And just as far as from like a learning curve
Mhm.
standpoint, there's the beautiful thing about the sport of tournament fishing is you can never stop learning. It's not
Mhm.
like you can have, basketball or golf or whatever, and you can absolutely master that. You're chasing after a fish that's underneath the water and you're chasing something that you can't see. And so there's always something to learn. And, as far as tournament fishing goes, and like probably my most memorable tournament for me since I turned pro and this past season was, I would say, probably Lake Eufaula in
Okay.
Oklahoma,
Hmm.
or Lake of the Ozarks here. We had a tournament here this year and ended up making the final day, which if you make the final day, you get a good payday and a lot of exposure. So probably making the cut here to fish the final day was very memorable for me. And also Lake Eufaula. So, our tournaments, we have 3 days for a tournament, and then we have an off day and then 3 days of practice. And throughout the practice for that Lake Eufaula event, I was catching them really good. Felt like I was around a lot of fish to really have a good tournament. And
Yep.
so we went out on day one, and I caught like almost 19 pounds on
Wow.
my best
Okay.
five, and ended up in 11th place after the first day.
That's
I
awesome,
think this
man.
was like my third event of the year this year, and went out day two, super excited. I'm in a good spot to move up and have a good event. And day two, I went to my same area, and they were still there, and it was about 12 o'clock, and I didn't have a bite, so I ended up leaving. And looking back on that, that was the total wrong decision. It's
Yeah.
such a game of decisions, and making them
Yeah.
at the right time is definitely what's important. And I've ended up coming in that day and ended up dropping down in the standings, but a buddy of mine pulled into that same stretch of bank after I had left and ended up catching them just on a different bait. And it's
Yeah.
crazy how just those little differences can make a world of difference when it
Yeah.
comes down to it. And since then, I've spent probably every day on the water that I can, and I'm really trying this off season to work on things that I recognize that I'm not as good at, and just become a all around versatile fisherman. And
Mhm.
you have to be good at every single thing, every technique. And I've spent a lot of time this off season working on my weaknesses, and I'm ready to come back stronger this next year.
I love it. No bad days on the water, right? Even if it's a learning day,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Dave, before you take that bonus, you said something that you talked about the 19 pounds of fish. I caught 19 pounds one time too at Long John Silver's. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, my question kind of centered around, it's great that you said learning and it's a game of decisions. Speaking of that big decision, whenever you went from, that Snoopy pole days going into being All-American in high school. What did it take for you, or maybe one or two things that you can tell us about turning that passion and that love of fishing into saying, okay, I think I can do this for a career, and ultimately being a guide that you do now, your show, and being on the pro circuit doing tournaments. What are maybe one or two things that you had to learn to make that leap?
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of work, and it's definitely not an easy road to get there. And you have to love the game, because it's not like, you go into a 9 to 5 and you're behind an office and you're, working every day in that aspect. In this world, you're your own boss. So when you get home, you have to go and be on the water. You have to be doing sponsor obligations. You have to be doing a lot of different things and manage a lot of different things at one time. And but it definitely, for me, I think, and a lot of other people can relate, it comes down to the love of the sport. And if you don't absolutely love it and you can't live without it, you're never gonna make it in this world at all.
It's so good, man. Dane, you've talked. We've heard. It's interesting, Joe, because we've heard musicians and athletes of all sports, right, and yourself included. That's a theme we hear a lot. People like yourself, where you do it pro, it's like it's just in your blood. Like you just love it. I think even though you're very successful, I think people would do it even if it wasn't a pro thing. And you can just tell that you love it. It's really cool,
Absolutely.
man. Love it.
And as far as what you had just said there, people would do it if it's not their profession. That's the beautiful thing about just the outdoor industry, whether it's fishing or hunting or, whatever. You can do it as long as you're able to, no matter the age, and you can get started at any time. And it's a beautiful thing to be outside in God's creation and enjoying this great earth that we have.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
You touched on influences a little bit. Like I think about people that have influenced me as a fisherman, like Wayne Rowley, my brother-in-law Andrew, even like Christy Bradley, and working with Heidi.
Yeah.
You probably have a couple of those people that have influenced you. I know you mentioned pops and all that, but maybe it's people on the circuit with you, or up and comers that have taught you things. Man, is there maybe one or two influences that kind of helped you show you the ropes, if you will, going pro?
Absolutely. I from a very early age, I had a lot of good connections within the sport, and I knew a lot of the right people to kind of get me influenced into it. And as we progress into this journey, I've met some amazing friends, traveling the country. And but as far as like influencers that I'm competing against, or people that I know that I can call after a tournament, for me, I would probably say that's Randy Howell or Carl Jochimson. I'm pretty good friends with them, and everybody can kind of relate that's been through it, some of the struggles day to day and whatnot. So it's nice to be able to have those people in your corner and have them to talk to and relate to, because they've been through it. And you can learn from a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. And Dane, we talk about different sports, and Joe, we see it in the sport of pro fishing too. It's neat that you can compete on fish day and then go hang out and fish, almost recreationally afterwards and learn. Like that's what I love about this sport, man. Everyone's so welcoming, and it really is a family thing. So it's really cool to see. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Go ahead, Dane.
Now obviously we're on the new year here, 2024. What are some of the things that you have on slate for you as not only a guide and your show, but also some events that you're going to compete in coming into the new year?
Yeah, so this coming year, 2024, I will be fishing the Major League Fishing Tackle Warehouse Invitationals again. So super excited for that. Got a new schedule, a lot of different lakes that I haven't been to. Some of them I have, but I really enjoy going to new bodies of water and figuring it out. You don't have any preconceived notions when you go to a place like that, and you can just fish free and put the work in, go find them, and hopefully have some good events. And, last year I could have had the year that you dream about since I was a kid with the Snoopy pole, but it's just, like I said, making those decisions when it comes down to it, and making the right one. So super excited for that, ready to get on the road. I'm actually, I think, maybe heading to Texas tomorrow before the Sam Rayburn goes off limits, so I can get down there. That lake is 7.5 feet low, so it's a lot different than normal. There's a ton of standing timber, and stuff. It's kind of hard to navigate, especially due to the low lake levels. So
Yeah.
excited to get down there, and also going to be fishing the Major League Fishing Toyota Series this year. Came close to winning that one here in September, and they actually have another one here. The last event of the Toyota is here at Lake of the Ozarks again this year. So see if we can't get some redemption on them.
Love it.
There you go.
That's cool, man. I love it. You know, it's just I could say it. Dane knows this. I love fishing. I do it amateur. You know, I fish probably 150 days a year. Here in Kansas, we can go from like February, November. So it's just cool to hear techniques and like the way you attack the sport. Everybody's got a different way of like that makes them tick, and it fascinates me to hear how you go about your craft, man. We're gonna transition, Joe, into something I promise you we're going to make you laugh. This is the only part we don't give you any prep for either. Every one of our guests, this is a trademark thing we do for the show. It's called rapid fire. Now check this out. There's 5 questions that the audience gives us worldwide. You know, from like, we've got people from, you know, Ireland to Japan, right? That'll send us like what we call rapid fire. Now it's PG, but we're going to get weird. It's fun, but we're going to get weird for a minute. Okay. So, now, there's no wrong answer. Here's what's cool about this. There's no wrong answer. We and Dane and I have these questions. We don't tell you these. We have bet each other on what we think you're going to say. And whichever one of us gets the most questions right gets lunch provided by the loser. So me and Dane are betting on you. So go with the heart. Go with your gut. There's no wrong answer. This is more about me and Dane betting on lunch on what we think you're going to say. Okay? So. All right. Now, with this segment, anything's possible. Celebrities, actors, people can come back to life from the past. This is just a kind of a fun, fictitious segment to pick your brain about your personality. Okay, so you ready? Mm-hmm. So we know your All-American days, and we know athletes and music kind of goes together hand in hand. So you are pro circuit. You get called up and say, we're going back, taking you as you are now back to the late 70s, early 80s. These bands are way before your time, but they say, hey, tell Joe we want to do a game of pickup basketball, 3-on-3. Joe and 2 of his buddies taking on one of these 2 bands in a full court basketball game. You can go up against the gentlemen of ZZ Top, you and 2 of your buddies, in a basketball game, or you can go against the guys of CCR. You 2 buddies against one of those 2 bands. Who do you want to go against?
I'd go against CCR.
Let's go. I had that one, Dan. How about you, man? Did you have that one?
No, I had ZZ Top. You know, you can get a beard tug if you need to get around.
That's awesome.
It seemed like it'd be a pretty physical game with those guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just figured I had you for CCR. I feel like it's like fishing music too, so I had you for that one, man. So next one. So they call you up and say, hey, we want you to be a part of a movie franchise, right? Now again, you probably will remember the first one, but the second one's before your time. But they say, Joe, we want you. You've made a name for yourself in the sport. We want you to be one of the characters in these upcoming reboots of these movie franchises. So first one, Joe, they're rebooting Gremlins. You could be one of the guys in the upcoming Gremlins reboot. Or B, there's a series of movies in the 80s called American Ninja. You could be the main ninja in the reboot of American Ninja, or the main guy in Gremlins. Which one are you going with?
Oh, the main ninja for sure.
Let's go. I had you for that. I had you for
get
real.
my throwing stars out and get to work.
Let's go. Let's go. Dane, which one do you have, Dane?
Man, I'm striking out so far. I had the Gremlins on that one.
Oh, man. Okay. Got you. So check this out. There's been a theme lately in the past 5 or 10 years, Joe, of celebrities being a part of video games, like taking their image and likeness and putting them into a video game. Call of Duty's done it a lot, Mortal Kombat, different things, right? So these 2 video game franchises say, Joe, we want to take Joe Bassman and put him in one of these upcoming video games. Check this out. You can be a playable character in the next chapter of Pac-Man. Like you can just see yourself kind of run across screen, right? Joe's image. Or you could be a part of the UFC 6 Joe Bassman character in UFC, or Pac-Man. Which one are you going with?
Pac-Man.
Let's go. I am 3 for 3, Dane. Crushing it, Dane. How about you, Dane?
Looks like you know who's buying lunch.
Yeah, I do. So far.
Yeah, that's a running theme here. I'm so far behind. I just need to make my resolution to get better at these rapid fires. I'm 0 for 3 now. Man,
Yeah. Did you have a UFC, Dane, on that one?
Yeah, I had UFC. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. So we're going to transition into make-believe even more for a second, Joe. So question 4. You're doing a fishing tournament. It's Major League Fishing. It's on Fox or something. And you have to do a head-to-head tournament against one of these 2 superheroes. You're going to go against Batman or Superman for the day. Fishing tournament. Who do you want to go against?
I would probably say Batman.
See, I actually had you for Superman. Here's why. Batman obviously Superman's stronger, but Batman has got more tricks up his sleeve. I feel like he could probably catch a fish with like some sonar stuff or whatever, just pull it out of the water. So I actually had you for Superman. So that's my first wrong one, Dane. How about you, Dane?
I actually had Batman because of that.
There you
reason.
go.
It'd be a tougher challenge. You know how to.
Yeah.
He just incapacitate him and just net them all in.
Like throw smoke, smoke on the water, make them up or something. That's cool. Okay.
There you go.
So check this out. We're gonna test your singing skills for the last one. Okay, Joe. So the last one, again, going back to the '80s, and they say, hey, you just finished a tournament, you took first place, won a trophy, and all that. And two of these country singers come up and say, hey, Joe, on our next album, I want you to do a duet with us and sing a duet. You can cut a track with Conway Twitty or the legendary Randy Travis. Which one are you going with?
Randy Travis.
Let's go. 4 for 5. I had you. I really did. How about you, Dane?
Nah, Conway.
Let's go.
Twitty.
I mean, just, both legendary, but yeah. So it looks like I'll take my lunch. Dane, can I get some fish, sent to me somehow? Maybe like some lobster or something. So let's go.
I'll DoorDash it to you someday.
Let's go. I'll take some Red Lobster, please. Maybe one of their like scampi and bass things. Well, Joe, hopefully, man, in interviews or media that you've done, something different. It's called Rapid Fire. Thanks for being a good sport.
That was fun.
Okay. Love it, man. Love it. Then go ahead.
Thank you. All right, Joe, on this last segment, we call it an open mic. We have, like Josh said earlier, we have a lot of younger listeners and viewers come on to kind of maybe get a nugget of knowledge of how to follow their passions to the pro level like you have. Would you have maybe a word or two of wisdom for them to kind of help them along their path to follow their passions? Maybe a mantra you've carried or something that you can give them to help them along?
Absolutely. No matter what your passion is, like, you have to love it and you have to be dedicated to that and 100% all in. And, there's going to be people along the way that say, oh, you can't do it. You're never going to be good enough to do it. You should have went to college. And all this stuff. Everybody's, going to have something to say. But as long as you know in your heart that that's what you want to do and you're 100% committed and you're not going to let anything get in the way of that, you're going to be unstoppable and you're going to get there. So keep hanging in there and it'll happen. But just be all in, committed, and work hard and make good decisions and it'll definitely happen.
I love that. It's like, Dan, we hear this a lot, and it's good to hear that from you because, Joe, I love how fishing now has never been more popular, and anybody can do it. And I say this with all respect. There's limitations of certain types of athletic where, I might not be able to go play basketball if I have a torn Achilles or something, right? Or maybe I can't, just different things. As long as you have the passion and the dedication in the craft, like you said, from an early age, 3 through now, you knew this is what you wanted to do. Yeah. And so far, nobody slowed you down. You're continuing to grow. I mean, you've got your show now. You're doing the circuit. You're doing the tour guide. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger because you knew this is what you want to do and nobody stopped you. I'm sure there's been...
The other thing I wanted to add to that was you just have to, fall in love with the process, because there's going to be times where it's not that easy. There's going to be highs and lows, just like anything, no matter what career you're in. But, if you're just in love with the game and in love with the process, I think it's definitely possible for anybody to achieve their dream.
I love that. I love it, man. I appreciate that, man. So final, I guess, bonus question, just from the fishing nerd that I am, man. I always ask anglers kind of like their favorite. Everybody has a superstitious practice, and I don't go anywhere when I fish without at least some type of live night crawlers, even if I don't use them. What's your favorite go-to bait? Like, if you had to pick one, what's your favorite go-to?
One bait for probably anywhere in the country that I would take with me. If I got stranded on an island, I would have a jig. Just a football jig. That's definitely by far my favorite bait, what I have the most confidence in, and I just love throwing it.
I love it. I love it.
To go.
That's what I thought. I thought you were going to say. I get a lot of that football jig type stuff. So I had to ask you, man. Well, Joe, I'll tell you this. Dane and I are honored that you took the time to do this, man. To ring in the new year, the resolution to kind of go after your passion and just refocus. That's what we're kind of all about here. So, man, I'm grateful that you took the time to meet with us today. As Dane and I always say, it's an open invitation. As you get a few more tournaments in your belt in the upcoming year, please make it a recurring thing, man. We'd love to have you on again in the future. And if you're open to that, we'd love to make this kind of an ongoing thing. Okay. So
absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome, man. Well, Joe, Dana and I appreciate your time, man. You're welcome to drop off. We appreciate you being here, man. This is going to be a great 2024. We look forward to chasing
Yep.
and watching your success and achievements along the way. So we love you, man, and we appreciate you greatly. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
All right, thanks, man.
take
We'll
care,
see you
brother.
guys.
Take care, man. So, Dane, I'm telling you, what do you think? He kept talking about his passion and chasing it. What do you think of that, Dane? Is that cool?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you hear that from some of the even the elder statesmen and women that we've had on about following
Yeah.
their passion from a young age, and to hear somebody so young that's doing great things saying, I still have this burning inside me to go bigger and get better. So, and
Mm-hmm.
always, like you said, constantly learning. You know, it doesn't matter what you do, where you go, constantly learn. I mean, that's a great message to have for not only, it's something that some people don't come to later in life, but he's already got that instilled in him.
He kept saying, you know, he made this mention of you got to love it, and I keep focusing on this where it's like you got to love it, right? Because I heard this coach one time. It was the most interesting analogy I ever heard about, you know, the day-to-day grind and falling in love with it when you're in between seasons or all that. And this analogy he gave is like, imagine taking your favorite steak or your favorite food and you got to chew it like for an entire day. You know, you get hungry, you eat your food. First slice of pizza, I love it. Maybe third or fourth, but you're just chewing on this pizza, this thing that you love all day long. And it's like, how do I keep it interesting, keep the flavor? I was like, that was a very interesting analogy to life and these athletes and pro anglers and musicians that just do it, even when it's like, I'm not feeling it right now. I know in the long term, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a little analogy.
It was another thing, like you said, is fall in love with the process. You know, I mean, it's hard to do. It's one of those tougher things to do. But, you know, even when people are telling you, well, maybe this might not work out for you because you don't have a success at that time, it's like, just keep grinding. I mean, you can't hear that message enough, especially for the younger viewers and listeners, to have somebody come on and tell you that constantly, that it's not something that just mom and dad or just your coaches say. It's the people that are doing it at a high level, at the highest level, that you can listen to them and say, maybe they're onto something.
Maybe they're right. Yeah. So and we always say the next generation of athletes and musicians is in good hands, and he's a young guy, and look at the work ethic that he's got. So that's the kind of person I want my kid modeling after, someone like that who knows what they want and they know how to go about it, and they're not afraid of the hard work. It's hard work, man. Don't let anybody fool you. Spending 10, 12, 15 hours in the lake is not, it seems like it's all good and great, but that's hard work, man. Because I've come back many times out catching a fish, and others you have those nice hauls, the 19-pound days like he's talking about. So it is a job, and it's like you don't know what you're going to get. As he mentioned, you're not seeing the fish on the top of the water. You have no idea. You plan, you study, you kind of like you scout it out. You may come back with nothing that day. So to keep that positive mindset, it's just, I love this guy. So yeah. I can't wait to see, you know, his tournaments that he does in 24. I'm happy for him and his personal success, and we'll make this a recurring thing and have him on again, you know? So
yeah, absolutely. Can't wait.
This week's going to be a good one, Dane. Kind of get a little sneak peek of the week ahead. So we do have our buddy Aaron from a band called Gemini Syndrome stopping by Tuesday night. Got a few more in the week. Next week, we got our buddy Jake Dune from Channel 12, local running superstar, plus a few others. So we're hitting January strong, as we said. We're not slowing down. We look forward to continuing to grow the show, and we'll keep it going as long as you guys are interested. So we'll end the 2023 with our buddy Joe. And don't forget, as Dane and I always say, don't forget that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.